Starting off, as you can see, the catalyst monitor is currently not complete, and we're going to go over in this video how we're getting that monitor complete. This is what all data tells you the conditions are to meet the catalyst monitor. It's kind of in a three-stage process, I'll summarize. So the first stage is 1,000 to 1,300 RPM with a load at 15 to 35%, with the cat at around 850 to 1,200 degrees. Second is at 1,200 to 1,500 RPM, load at 20 to 35%. Trying to get the cat to 900 to 1250 degrees Fahrenheit. The third is at 1300 to 1600 RPM with a load of 20 to 40%, cat temperature in between 950 and 1300. The issue with this is that the average person probably doesn't know what load percentage their engine's at or what catalyst temperature they're at. Or even somebody who does have a scan tool who's able to read this, they're tech driving down the road with the scan tool hooked up, they can't be stopping to look at what exact temperature they're at all the time. So there's a couple different ways you can go about testing it as an average person. First one here, I found just kind of an online forum that recommends for Ford, you start the vehicle and idle for 4 minutes, drive it, and then meet various different conditions. That being said, if you want to look at a previous video I made with a 2004 Honda Odyssey that showed those conditions, you can see conditions can be very specific for each different vehicle. However, the key in checking your catalyst monitor is to just drive it under different conditions for an extended period of time. So driving 2 minutes probably isn't going to trigger it. Driving 15, 20 minutes, or sometimes you may have to drive 10, 15, 20 miles, that should be enough to trigger your catalyst monitor under most circumstances. Taking a look here, even before I've driven the vehicle, you can kind of see the difference between the two oxygen sensors. So on the top you have the first sensor, which is reading with higher amplitude and higher frequency, whereas the second one, as it's going along, it's barely increasing and it's maintaining. It's not as high of an amplitude, it's a little bit hard to see here with the scale, but it's not changing nearly as much. So with all that said, it's going to be pretty boring if you guys just watched me drive around for 10 miles. Here you can see I'm at 132,866.6 miles. Going to drive around and I'll show you guys at what point we pass the catalyst monitor. I went ahead and parked just so I could film this part. We're now at 132,915 with the monitor saying that it is okay. So I did a variety of driving in order to get that to enable, anywhere from residential streets at 20 miles an hour, in the city at 35, and I even took it on the highway at about 70 miles an hour. The biggest thing, again, is just to make sure you're going through a variety of different conditions. Although it may be difficult to enable your cat monitor, the good news is, once it is enabled, under most circumstances, you really shouldn't have to worry about getting it to enable again for emissions. The two biggest conditions that I can think of off the top of my head are if you disconnect the battery or if you clear the information from the PCM.